we do have a quorum, so we're gonna do Haley's new thing here where we do introductions. Just to kind of remind us of all why we're here, we'll read the mission statement. Members of the Wilmington Tree Commission are appointed by and serve at the pleasure of the City Council. Our charge is to promote and endorse programs and policies to support, maintain, and grow our urban forest, increase public education, and establish incentives to encourage a healthy, safe, and attractive natural environment for the City of Wilmington. Introduce staff with Sally, right? We know everyone, Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation. Erin is not here today, right? She's not coming. Correct. Okay. And Haley, our long-range planner. And then we'll go around and introduce ourselves. So I'm Bridget Callahan. I'm the Vice Chair.
I'm Ron Warehouse.
Terry Parham.
Jean Fisher.
Catherine Cardamom, but I'm called Kate.
And Isabel.
Hi. Isabel, are we all just introducing ourselves at this
Yep.
point? Hi, I'm Isabel. I'm late. I am the Executive Director with the Alliance for Cape Fear Trees.
Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy Luna, downtown business owner, and I'm working on my master's at UNC.
Okay, our audio is still really, really low on you, Kathy, just so you know, but I think we can take it. So, all right. So since we have a quorum, first order of business is to review and approve the minutes from our last meeting, June 18th. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about the minutes? All right, can do a vote.
I move we accept them.
Second.
I say.
All right. Do we need to do anything else with that, Haley? I think that's it, right? First, second, we're done. We approve the minutes.
Discussion and then the vote.
We just did the vote. Thank you, Lord. Right?
We didn't vote, they just.
Oh, we just did, okay. This is my head not being here. So we had a first, we had a second. Vote to approve. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody against? All right. Next up, we have the annual report, which everybody should have a copy of. Did everybody have a chance to review it? Did anybody have any questions or anything they wanted to point out in it?
There have been two small changes.
Okay.
So there was which is reflected in the packet you have now, a change in the titles of our ex officio members. And then Aaron shared that for city awards, the tree commission is not required for the Tree City USA awards. I put that in itself.
Oh, okay, cool.
Those are the only changes.
Okay.
Did you say we have those changes
Yes, in
in that?
yes.
Okay.
Am I supposed to be listed as a ex officio or anything like that?
The Alliance is not an ex.
Okay, we're just like, we just hang out here. Cool. You should have a, we just hang out here section.
Yeah, so
We-
according to
we
our
will-
bylaws, we only have staff as ex officio.
You totally.
But if there's interest in amending that.
It might be worth it, like, in the next report to think about like supporting organizations and maybe those, right?
Something like that, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, anything else anyone wanted to bring up about the report? I think it looks nice.
It is very nice.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah.
Very well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Haley.
Well, then can we, I guess we'll go to vote to approve it. Do we have a motion to have a second? And
Second.
all those in favor of approving the annual report? Anyone against? Okay. All right, next we have, oh, Kathy?
Just saying aye, I don't know if anybody.
Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. All right, so next item of business is the Heritage Tree Awards. We have an update. We have one application to be reviewed on 4th Street. And I actually do not think I have information about the tree. Billy, do you have? Yeah, perfect. All right. So it's a magnolia, 69 feet. Grandmother purchased with house in 1960s.
It's a cool tree, that's the one we went to see last time, right? And it was a cool tree.
It was a nice tree. It definitely was.
do we think that it is a heritage tree is the question. Nice tree. I like the fact that she included that she knew a little bit of the history of the lot. I think that's, being able to trace it back.
Does it meet the requirements for the measurements?
Not for size,
No,
so it needs 48 and it's 180.
Can you say that again?
so it needs 248 and it's only at 189.
Okay.
So it's not up to those requirements. So, I mean,
What's the breast height diameter,
we have that.
DVA?
It looked, I think 32.
It was very tall. It looks like it's
Yeah,
been
okay.
trimmed pretty regularly, so it's
Nice, nice shape.
Yeah, but it's sort of like,
conical.
Yeah, conical.
Yeah,
Well,
Um,
the
it's very
people
tall.
that do the heritage trees, they sometimes approve of trees that don't totally fit in with the guidelines, right?
yes, I
Yeah.
think so, right? Yeah. This is up to us if we think that it's got historical significance. or-
And having
Yeah.
seen it, I would approve it. I think it's a really neat tree. It's right, it's, it's in the middle of downtown. It's very tall. It's been well cared for. I think it should be protected if we can, so I would say we should, but that's just me.
And other thoughts on it? I'm with you because I think like unless we're having like a glut of applications of bad trees, right? Like I think that this, in your first person perspective is enough for me. So I'm good with approving it. Should we wait for Tom to do a vote or should we do it now?
that is.
Okay.
up to you
I
all.
keep looking at you, I'm sorry.
I'm
All right, well, let's go ahead and vote on it then. I think those in favor of approving it for the Heritage Tree Awards.
Do you need a motion?
Did that too? Okay.
I would motion.
Second motion, okay. Those in favor of approving it for the Heritage? Anyone? Okay. Anyone against? Cool. All right, so next we have the strategic plan updates, which looks like we've got our goals pretty clearly marked. So first goal, community education to the public. Give presentations to 3 professional organizations that influence new community members on the value of trees. Do we have any plans currently for those 3 organizations that we want to target? I think the first thing to do would be to pick the organizations we want to reach out to. Does anybody have any ideas for organizations we could start looking at?
Well, we had talked about, and one of the things we talked about was businesses that sell trees, and I feel it's really important to know the local industry within the county and maybe even outside of the county that sell trees to make sure that they're aware of not always carrying exotic invasives constantly and considering more natives. And so I don't know how we reach them. I know there's the Urban Forestry Association and things and meetings that arborists attend, but most of these businesses are, they're just selling what sells best.
Yeah. That's an interesting question of, is there a professional organization that they're all tied into?
Yeah,
Isabel, you don't know?
I don't know.
Do they have a,
There's like a North Carolina Nurserymen's Association.
I think
Oh,
there is.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
May I ask?
Kathy, it might be better if you type it in the chat for us. Nursery Association.
Yeah, the Urban Forest, Urban, North Carolina Urban Forest Council has some really good resources for they're often present at the Urban Forest Council conference that
Okay.
this board has attended in the past.
But I would assume that the Urban Forest Council is kind of on the same point that we are, right? Like, we're trying to reach out to organizations a little bit more on a local level. So I don't know if that's the place we want to target, because they already know the information, right? They're already with us. Well, okay, so what do we think the best way to attack that is? Does anyone here have an in with somebody who owns a nursery or works at one who they could have a conversation about the best way to reach that profession?
I work at Home Depot, they're gonna sell what they're gonna sell. There's,
Well, yeah, Home Depot's gonna be Home Depot, yeah. All right, I think a first goal would be to have a conversation with somebody in the profession to see what they thought the best way to approach that market was. Let's see. Also add something. Oh, that's a good idea. Adding that information to people applying for a business permit. I like that. Like the information packet. Isabel, who does the Alliance usually work with nursery-wise again?
Yeah, so we work with, in terms of trees specifically, wholesalers, we work with Worthington Farms and Panther Creek.
Who do you think would be more approachable?
Worthington.
Worthington?
They're very sweet.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll volunteer to put that on my docket to just make a phone call to Worthington.
Yeah.
And say, hey, we're looking to reach this demographic. How do we best do that? Other than the tree nurseries, any other ideas for professional organizations we want to reach out to? People coming in, I think.
Oh, builders associations.
Yeah.
The builders are the ones that are getting rid of all the trees and bringing
Well,
in the bad trees.
I was thinking more so landscaping companies. So the builders are just gonna pave down the trees, like, and then they hire a landscaper to fix that. So I think really it's about getting in with landscape architects, local, large scale, like landscape contractors is the word that I'm looking for, yeah.
Yeah, and I knew one of my friends was working for a large one, and they pretty much used for all hedging, Ligustrum japonicum, the invasive Japanese privet. And I think, I kept I did know him, and I did keep trying to tell him there were other options, but it was just the simplest go-to, the most available, and we really need to educate them about substitutes for, especially ligustrum and other plants
Yeah.
like that.
So do we have any information on, because I mean, the best way to approach this kind of group is going to be with like, hey, this is the economic benefit to you of planting using these native species versus not. Does anybody know of any studies or any data about like why it would benefit a landscape contractor to use native? Like,
Not economically.
Okay.
but we need to find some sort of economic angle to it, because
Um,
that's really what they're looking at.
They could brand it as like, as a benefit. They, sort of almost like a greenwashing or
Upscale, yeah.
something, like they can be like, we're a landscaper that can provide you with a full native palette, So I think there is an economic benefit to that in terms of their marketing.
Yeah.
Further, landscapers are also required to oftentimes maintain the grounds as part of their contract.
So that's what I was thinking.
So there has to be some economic benefit to like, it would require less maintenance overall.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking, is like in the long term, how do we show them this is a benefit to them?
Yeah.
So maintenance sustainability. Because I think we're going to need to have that information prep to have conversations. I mean, that's going to be the first question, is like, this is great, but how do I how do I justify the cost? Does anybody want to volunteer to look into that further for our next meeting of trying to gather any data about landscaping sustainability with native plants?
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Anybody want to help me?
All right, well, I will also look into it a little bit too, Kate. All right, so that's our first, our community education. I think that gives us 2 steps to start with there. And just identifying, the people we should be targeting. So next we come to tree ordinance and enforcement. The goal, analyze current tree ordinance and recommend amendment to the land development code to increase tree retention and all new development within 2 years. So I have started reaching out to some people in network of like other people in other cities who have done like tree programs just to try and suss out what they're looking at. Have a call with someone in Charlottesville to talk about what they've done. But in terms of actually moving forward on that goal, so analyzing the current tree ordinance, I think that's got to be our first step, right? It's just sitting down, actually going through it. Is that something we want to make a point for our next meeting agenda?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
so in terms of reviewing our current
Yeah.
ordinances, yeah, so I'm hoping that this will be helpful. Haley had mentioned this as well. The Alliance for Cape Fear Trees has developed a working paper. We're calling it Code and Canopy, you know, alliteration. And so we looked at the city of Wilmington's codes and ordinances, and in some ways upheld them for the region as like, look at what Wilmington is doing. You all should do what Wilmington is doing. But further identified gaps or areas for growth, if you'll pardon the pun. So I think that I just want to offer that as a resource that we have looked into the codes. We have compared them to other cities in the southeastern United States, particularly North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. And I'm hoping that that can be in some ways a jumping off tool for us.
So do you think, would you be willing to go over that in more detail with the commission next meeting? And kind of present on
Absolutely,
it?
I would love nothing more.
And could you send us in advance, maybe an attachment on our email so we can look at it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lengthy report. You're gonna wanna, you'll have some time with it. Haley and Sally, I'm sure have both seen it. I'm so sorry. I know it's a lot. But in any case, Haley, I am making edits to this like every day at this point based on feedback. I have one to institute today, but then I could send you a link to send out to the group. And while it's not finalized yet, I'm comfortable sharing the draft within this group. Just please note that it is in draft form and we are certainly not ready to share it widely yet. But I would love to do a presentation.
Yeah.
It's like my baby. I feel
Does
very.
everybody feel good with that? I think that would be an interesting meeting. Okay. You have thoughts now?
No.
Okay.
I'm just smiling. It's all
Well,
good.
good.
It's all good. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we'll do that at our next meeting. I think that'll give everybody a good basis. It might give you some good feedback too, Isabel.
Yeah, I would love that.
Any other ideas for goal number 2? Haley, Sally, anybody?
Speaking of presentations, if we'd also like one from the planning department on our current code and how it's enacted now.
Yeah.
That could also be a helpful starting point.
Yep. I feel like we had one when I just came in. Because you said it.
Sure,
Maybe
maybe a
that's a
similar
different-
presentation was done in partnership with the Alliance of Cape Fear Trees. We had a community meeting that used a similar presentation of here's what the code is, here's how it works. If we wanted to get more into the weeds on that.
Yeah, is that something that we could do in one meeting, Isabel's and that one, or does that need to be spaced out, do you think?
I mean, that's up to you all. That would be pretty lengthy.
Pretty lengthy.
It would probably take the whole agenda. but
Yeah.
That's your.
I honestly think it would be good to just keep the whole conversation focused on that for one meeting. What do you guys think? It would be a long September, I mean, it would be a packed September meeting, we'll say that. But if we had Isabel present Code and Canopy and then the planning commission talk about what the current ordinances, would you guys be interested in sitting through that?
Or should we do current ordinances in September and then in October do code and canopy?
Well, that's the question. Do we want to break it up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, well, I was, I guess, talking about the order of it. Like, should we do code and canopy first or current ordinance?
I would probably do current.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think, I don't know. I'm in favor of splitting them. I think they're both gonna be pretty lengthy discussions.
Okay, well, let's do that then. If you guys are good with it, let's do the planning commission one in September. Isabel's Code and Canopy in October. That'll give you a chance to.
Like digest what we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be a good conversation for us. Are you good with that? All right.
Well, I once again want to request Sally and Haley that, if you could send us the ordinance with a link or attachment, for me, I don't see anything up there and I really would appreciate just listening to it to make notes again. I've heard the ordinance. I've been around the block here for a while, but it seems to me that every time I think I understand the ordinance, it seems like it's being broken in a development that, and people keep asking me, why are they taking these trees down? And I don't have the answers, you know, of why there seems to be exceptions, but maybe I'm misinterpreting the ordinance.
Yeah, we can definitely send that out and I will talk to the rest of the planning department staff about a
Okay,
presentation in September.
so September planning commission, October,
Yeah, it'll be our planning department, not from our planning commission.
oh, okay, sorry.
It'll be a city staff.
Yeah, city staff. Cool. All right, and then lastly, we've got partnerships and collaborations. The goal, create a spreadsheet and scorecard with statistics regarding number of volunteers, volunteer hours, trees distributed and used to provide updates to the public, determine the impact of work completed, and evaluate current practices within 2 years. So I feel like that is something to think about in November.
Would you
Wait.
want to form a committee for it?
That's a good idea. Does anybody want to be on a committee for that? To be basically in charge of evaluating what we've done with volunteer hours in the last 2 years, what we've done with trees distributed, and then how that would look for the next year.
I would help with it as long as I don't have to be in charge of it.
Okay, that one volunteer.
I was gonna say the same thing.
What if you guys were co-in charge of it? With also the idea there's not a lot of pressure on this, because this is, I think that we've got some very concrete goals ahead of us, so like, you could take your time on this.
I'm not even sure where to find this information.
Yeah, that would be the question. I think we'd have to sit down and really have a brainstorming. Well, okay, so let's talk about that right now. We've got a couple minutes, right? When we created this goal, what were we thinking about in terms of our data and what we have to use and what we need to be collecting?
Should we just take notes right now, what we already do for outreach?
Yeah, I was saying, well, we should just think about it, just take like 10 minutes to talk about it, anyhow.
Well, is anybody taking notes?
Yeah.
Yeah, just taking notes, I'm taking notes. But I'm just trying to think like, so we have, I mean, how many events did we do last year?
Let's start naming it. I mean, we did Arbor Day. Maybe more than once. We did an Arbor Day at a school. We did an Arbor Day at the Martin Luther King after school program. So we always do Arbor Day. We always do Native Plant Festival. Although I think this year we didn't
We
do
did
it.
not do it because we didn't plan in time, I think.
Yeah, and also because they didn't hold it at the Arboretum.
No, they had a weird format, yeah.
Yeah, we need to go back to the format. And then we had, I did 2 years ago, Fire in the Pines. Do we have a Fire in the Pines? Last
Yeah.
year?
Yep.
And we did that. We always have an event, you know, we always have a table or a presence. Oh, we were also with you. What were we doing
Earth
with
Day,
you?
Earth Day
We were,
Festival.
yeah, we were
Earth
Earth Day. But the Earth Day, I feel like, so what are we counting as our things and theirs? So Earth Day kind of showed up. We didn't and gave information, but we weren't really distributing anything ourselves. That was the Alliance. So
And we gave out, you gave out the native tree things, native tree
Yes.
lists.
okay,
So there was
it was
something.
information, yeah.
Yeah, we talked to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's information and outreach at Earth Day.
Ooh, also, I should just mention this as a fun thing because I will be using it for my tabling events moving forward. But if you ask Bartlett tree experts for free trees, small ones, baby trees,
Mhm.
they will give them to you for free if you give them 2 months notice to hand them out at events. So I'm now going to hand out events at trees at every event we go to. There's going to be Eastern Red Cedars for MLK Day. I am so excited about that, especially since a cedar was cut down near my old house and I'm like devastated by it. But in any case, So I just want to put that out there for any city or tabling event, anything like that. If you give them just a little bit of advance notice, like they take it as part of their sort of, I don't know, community philanthropy, is giving away these free trees. Anyway, sorry, I'm really excited about the
That's a
free
really,
trees.
yeah, it's a really good thing to know.
Who would you speak to, Everett?
Everett, yeah.
So in terms of volunteer hours that we're counting, it's really these events that we've shown up at and how many people showed up at these events, right? So you'd be looking through like with these events, asking people, and I think it's mostly me and Tom and Haley that showed up in a lot of them, like how many hours it took and whatnot.
Well, this
we
is a
haven't been-
volunteer thing right here.
This is, do we count this as volunteer, the people showing up to volunteer through the commission, or like what are we counting as volunteer for our statistics?
So we haven't been tracking it, though, is what I hear you saying.
No, so what you're doing is we need to kind of recreate what happened over the last year to give us a set of like, okay, this is what we actually did. Now, what do we want to set as goals for the next one?
Are you just listing events? Are you like listing the
So-
people that go out and measure trees?
Yes, we count any kind of volunteer. So I think the heritage trees measurements do count for that.
And the Heritage Tree Award ceremony.
Yes, absolutely.
It's city.
I think. So when it comes to trees distributed though, that's a weird one, because we don't. Did we distribute any trees ourselves last year? No, right? So,
We partner with Alliance and when Alliance is handing out trees, many of us volunteer for those tree giveaways.
I would count, as long as they're within the city of Wilmington, I think I would count those as volunteer hours. I mean, we rely on the city, as the city knows, for some of the logistics surrounding those events. So depending on how many of our folks come to that, I think that's truly a bit of a collaborative project.
okay.
I don't know.
This give you guys a little bit better idea of how to kind of start piecing that together. It's just really, I think you can go off the annual report as your first thing to say, okay, here are the events I should check in with about these. And yeah, maybe just kind of take a stab at sort of looking at volunteer hours based on the report. And then if you want to come next meeting and say, hey, this is kind of what we see, we can kind of discuss what we think counts in there and if there's anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
People? Okay.
If I may offer, I think just the number of trees that are going out into the community is an amazing benchmark for the commission. So you can we can feed you those numbers. So Isabel can tell you, we distributed this number of trees, we planted this many trees in this year with volunteers. And we can say the city planted this many trees by contract, or even with our own city staff, we planted this number of trees. And because we're, part of this three-legged stool, I like to call it, with the city, the commission and the alliance, that we're sort of giving each other credit for all of the trees that are going out into the community.
I think structuring it in that three-way will make it a little bit easier. Cause yeah, that's the thing is like when you're I'm thinking of data sets in this, like I need to know the boundary of like what counts, what doesn't, right? But,
Well, and to your point, keep it simple. Like,
Yeah.
think of, you're like, what are our top 3 things that we want to measure and that people are going to be interested in, that you're most interested in, and you're hearing your connections in the community, like what would be of interest to them.
so I think if you were to kind of focus on like volunteer and volunteer hours, who are all the different organizations that we touched this year, right? Like where do we, these are the schools we went to, these are the organizations we worked with. So like who's the collaboration? Like who's that group? And then the total of the trees distributed through all of those different things.
Yeah.
Any other questions or thoughts about that?
We need more volunteers.
That's certainly true. All right. Well, I think if you guys can kind of work on that, that would be great. And then we have our other 2 goals for those last 2. So I'm going to move on to 6. Isabel, update on activities for the Lions of Cape Fear.
Oh my God, I drove to this meeting today and I was like, I'm so excited. I get to give so many updates. This is thrilling. So let me just pull up the report that I gave recently to our executive committee.
So the first design draft of code and canopy is complete. It's really cool, guys. I cannot wait for you to see it. It is what I have dreamed and hoped for since I came onto this job, because people ask, why are the trees coming down? And I say it is like you have to go back to the code. You can't be like just treating it like trying to do it development by development is just playing whack-a-mole. So anyway, I'm very excited about that. We would love to in some way partner with the tree commission, whether that's just getting feedback or having official support or working with us on community outreach. I see many places for collaboration there. We received a $25,000 grant from Duke Energy Foundation, the only one in our region, I will say, to support a distribution of 900 trees. Pretty cool. I don't know where they want us to distribute those yet. I left it as regional because honestly, I really wanted the grant and I was like, Duke Energy, I'll give them out wherever you tell me you would like to give them out, but I will be making a strong pitch for downtown. And so we have talked to DC Virgo. They have offered up their space for a tree giveaway. Honestly, it's really cool. There's like an overhang, plenty of room for setup. And then Warner Temple down the street also offered to help. So
I really liked it when you had it, the Roger Strange pool at the, at the.
Legion Stadium?
Yeah. No,
So-
not.
Oh.
Emma.
Yes,
And
yes.
that was very well attended. But that was a great thing. Easy parking, easy access and.
You're doing it.
Great.
You already are doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Wait a second.
Or MLK Day.
For MLK Day, yes. For MLK Day, we're going to be there, but that's like just us setting up.
Oh, I thought you were doing a distribution.
Well, we're giving out the Atlantic white cedars, but like little ones. We're not handing out this baby cedars. So in any case, but we will be, so yes, I'm trying to do one downtown. Robert Strange, that is a fantastic recommendation. I really value that feedback too, because I've only been at this job for 9 months now. So I've received trees from tree distributions in the past, but I have not been in charge of them. And all of the ones that I've ever been to have been at Legion Stadium. So I'm trying to get us closer to downtown. I appreciate any recommendations. Let's see here. This is about Brunswick County, so I'll skip over that. We are currently working with the city to identify locations for our street tree plantings for the coming year. We're going to be able to do a lot, and I'm really excited about that because this is our first year having the collaboration with the city of Wilmington. And Sally, I am really trying to prove our worth here. Yeah. I think of you every time I write a grant. I'm like, I want to do Sally proud. So in any case, we have 4,000 from residents of Old Wilmington to do a street tree planting. They have a very specific geographic range. So it is from Queen Street to Red Cross and from water from the river to 8th. And so ideally when we plant trees, we try to plant trees in disadvantaged neighborhoods where they're going to make the greatest impact. But to be clear, residents of Old Wilmington, their boundaries are very white and mostly affluent. So I was looking around corridors, basically at the edges of those boundary lines. So looking at I did look some on Queen, but in the interest of grouping most of our tree plantings in one spot, I'm actually looking more so on the north side. So Red Cross, Walnuts, North 6th, North 7th, and even North 5th Avenue. So I sent those streets. So we need to plant about 40 trees in that geographic range, but we can go further north or further east along those corridors. I think would be fine too, again, to ease the watering and maintenance routine schedule. So anyway, so we're looking there, but we also got $5,000 from the NC Urban Forestry Council. I found out about that yesterday. So again, those are ones that are for street trees specifically, and they need to be in a disadvantaged
area. So that crosses over well. We can kind of focus on that area. And then I feel like we have, oh, and then Audi Cape Fear also wants to plant trees. They're going to plant like a certain number of trees for every electric vehicle they sell during some month. So exact amount is TBD. They're very flexible in terms of like where they plant. Sally, I'm going to put this bug in your ear. They like to do these things called like fearless forests, because I guess Audi is fearless. I didn't know that. But anyway, they like to do these forests. They did one at the New Hanover County landfill. So we planted like 75 oaks out there, which is really cool. Awesome that we got to do like a big planting in one place. And the trees are doing well. I think we've lost one, which is an incredible success rate. So in any case, Sally, if there's anywhere on city property where we could put like a bunch of trees, then we could work with them on that. And theoretically also, I know Penderley Farms is very friendly with us. And so if there's a place where we could locate like a lot of oaks or longleaf pines, they grow both of those species. I think that they might be able to at least give us a discount on them, which would allow that money to go farther. I'm expecting maybe about 4 to 5K from Audi. So that is, that's a solid chunk of change for planting trees. I'm really hoping we could plant something like 120 to 150. I hesitate to give any final number because tree prices are it depends on species, all of that. But anyway, so that's really exciting. So we have one corporate sponsor. Oh, actually, and also, gosh, there's another corporate sponsor that wants to do something more smaller scale. Like they're going to give us, I think, $3,500, which isn't a ton of money, but again, can complement those efforts. So I'm just thinking, Sally also mentioned that like it takes city resources to hold these events. So I'm trying to pack it into as few events as possible, but making them larger. So for a street tree planting, we might be planting like a solid number of trees to just keep it all designated that way. So there's that. I met with Bartlett tree experts to create the syllabus for our upcoming tree stewards training, which was super exciting. We are working to tailor the lessons more directly to the work that the tree stewards will be doing in the field. For instance, the Bartlett tree experts, they're nerdy, which I love, but I have to pull them back sometimes. I was like, we really need to have a class like a section on weeding. I know it seems pretty basic, but the tree stewards need to weed. And they were like, well, then there's questions about like, what is a weed and what isn't a weed and what's the weed threshold? And I was like, no, I don't think you understand. They need to pull out anything that is around the base of the tree. I don't care if it is a rare species. They need to pull that out of the base of the tree so that they don't get cut by weed whackers. And they were like, that makes sense. You're right. We got a little carried away. Or they wanted to have a conversation about only native trees. And I was like, I need you to talk about street trees, like the trees that we plant, that those are the only trees that they need to know. So anyway, in short, they did not need to get into the academics of it or the particulars. So we need to train the tree stewards on the type of street trees that we plant, how to plant them, how to weed them, mulch, stake, prune, etc. We do plan to have, as a fundraising event and as a community educational event, a ticketed fundraiser, which would be essentially like getting into the weeds of it, right? Which I don't know, maybe now that I say it, fantastic branding. So, so we'll do getting into the weeds, and those will be kind of nerdier classes where we go over the finer points of native versus regionally adapted cultivars, just like all of the things. But that we've been having folks coming to the tree stewards class because they're just interested in learning about trees. But I'm really trying to emphasize this year that like you are coming to the tree stewards class because you're volunteering once a month.
Still doing 4 weekends?
It is 4 weekends in October. Great question.
Right, but the reason I'm asking is that like, having done the program last year, I don't know that 4 is necessary for classes. I think 4 events where you're doing stuff, but like what you're talking about doesn't need to be extended.
A lot of it is going to be field work.
Okay.
So we're going to be doing more field work during the sessions. Like I think we're going to have a pruning workshop like out in the field somewhere. So I'm trying to, I think that it will fill up
That's
4
what I meant,
classes. Yeah. So they will be doing that. Sally, once again, I think I sent you a note about pruning like city trees. Wondering if for our pruning workshop, for instance, I think last year they did the pruning workshop at Pine Forest Cemetery, but now Pine Forest Cemetery is pruned, and Bartlett Tree Experts was like, hey, we're gonna need to wait another year before we go back to that site. So I need to identify a place where we could do a lot of pruning in a somewhat consolidated area. So Sally, if there is an area in the city where they could do pruning, like with the guidance of Bartlett Tree Experts, I need to just identify a site. And then further, I was interested if the city of Wilmington wants to let us know, like, hey, there's a bunch of trees along South 8th Street that are relatively young and need pruning. Like, we could schedule a pruning party. I like to have mulch mornings and pruning parties. If you guys didn't catch, I really like consonants. So anyway, we could do pruning parties if we had the approval of the city, if those were monitored by, either Bartlett Tree Experts or one of our staff members. So anyway, these ideas are all percolating. And then I am also working on planning, like immediately after they graduate, we have 2 tree distributions. So that's a great way of being like, great, you've graduated, now come do this. We're going to do volunteer signups like in the lessons themselves. I'm not going to send them an email afterwards and be like, sign up for this. Like, we're going to get names on paper day 1. And then of course we will have the straight tree planting, which I'm aiming probably for January or February. So it's a little farther out. But we can be doing tree maintenance, mulching, all of that to kind of get them out into the field more immediately. I also should share that we'll be working in a diversity, equity, and inclusion training, as well as more team building events and hands-on demonstrations. So the DEI training is important because we are working in underserved communities. And I never, ever out of a volunteer's mouth want to hear them call a neighborhood sketchy. No. And I have heard that, and we're putting the kibosh on that. So, so that's something that I'm really proud that we're integrating. And I will close by noting that we currently have 31 registrants for the course, and we are over a month out. So, I'm really excited about that, if you can't tell.
So, just based on the first part of what you're saying, and just also because I know this, one of the biggest things that we're running into is just scouting opportunities of where to plant these trees, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you guys for help on that. Like, we just need locations. It is actually, when we talk about those boundaries between Clinton and Red Cross, it is not easy to find places where, the power lines aren't right there, or there's actual space. So if you guys see spaces, please just like shoot me an email or shoot Isabel an email and just be like, hey, this place seems like it could use a tree. And we will go and check it out.
And ideally long stretches that need trees, not just one-offs, because then watering them is an actual nightmare. I will say, Bridget, something that has happened since you and I last met on this, I did send a note to Sally. I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself, but hoping that maybe there could be greater collaboration if we identify corridors and say, like, tell us where we could plant them along Red Cross, like, I really want it to be Red Cross, Walnut, 5th Avenue, 6th, 7th. And then I think all of our watering could be in one place. All of our community outreach could be in one place. We already have a foothold in that area because we are working with DC Virgo already, as well as Warner Temple. So like, we have community centers there where we already have relationships. I want to capitalize on that. It fits within those very specific boundaries of the Residents Bold Wilmington grant. And so it's kind of all coinciding around there. And further to talk about power lines, Bridget, one idea I had is if there are low power lines, that might be a place where we could plant fruiting trees, sort of smaller scale fruiting trees in a food desert. Now, what I have heard and what is incredibly troubling is that there has been this history, fueled by, you know, racism, where some individuals, you know, particularly among the Black community, don't feel safe picking street tree fruit because they are worried they will be arrested, which apparently was a thing. So with that in mind, I did wonder about still having fruiting trees, but maybe even putting signs on them or something like, feel free to pick a persimmon, you know? So in any case, so I did wonder if there's some way that even if there is a low power line, if we could find something to put there that would increase biodiversity, that would purify air quality, that would still serve stormwater mitigation, you know, all of that. They might not be canopy trees, which of course I would like, but I'm hopeful that we can find some that will work so that there aren't just these long stretches without any tree.
But we do have a lot of species that don't get up the height of a canopy tree. But I think rather than labeling a tree that it's edible, it should be an outreach and our educational thing to educate people that there are some trees you can eat the fruit off of. For example, Coosa dogwood's fruit's edible, you know, I mean, that's not a native, but people don't know what's edible. And you can't obviously eat everything off the tree, but even,
Right.
yeah.
But
even
I think it would be helpful though. I hear you, community outreach is important, but for someone just passing by, I think like a sign saying it is perfectly legal for you to pick this. And by the way, it is edible, like some way of communicating that. And further, if a police officer ever were to be like, what are you doing picking these trees? I would love if there was a sign there being like, no, this is like really a thing.
Well, and if you plant fruiting trees, it takes a couple years for that
Yeah.
to even matter. So honestly, what we're talking about is two prongs, right? Of like,
Yeah.
do we want to plant these? Will they work there?
Yeah.
And then in a couple years, when they are producing fruit, do we want to go back and put signs saying, hey, this is what I am, like a little educational
Yep.
mount next to it or something, right?
Yeah.
But those are very far spaced.
So much tree planting is long-term planning. I am learning.
To follow up on bus stops.
Oh, yes. I'm very excited about bus stops.
Did you talk to anyone at Wave?
I have not yet talked to anyone at Wave. If you could help me with bus stops, that would be dope as hell.
So that was actually something I was going to update you on, is that I looked around, I did a little scouting, and I was like, you know, I don't know I need to talk to someone at Wave that like because they should be able to tell us if they're,
Yeah, like,
if they want shade.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
okay.
But yes, if you could reach out to Wave to ask them about bus stops, I think that would be really cool. And even if this falls outside of the realm of the city of Wilmington, because of course the bus system spreads into New Hanover County, it is at least something where if we were to be given permission and if we could create a landscaping plan of like, here's the 10 bus stops we want to serve, here's how many trees we could have at each, I could then start writing grants for that purpose.
Kelly, do you have any thoughts on that? So what we're talking about is that Isabel had this idea that like, hey, bus stops need shade. We should look and target these. Do you have anyone in particular that you know at Wave that you think would be good to reach out at, or any thoughts on past efforts?
I really don't. I really don't know the answer to that.
I should have at least one contact that I can share with you.
Okay, do you want to kind of feel them out on that idea and see if we can, or you pass them on to me?
I
and
will
I can
pass
just-
them along.
Yeah.
You guys can reach out to them, absolutely. I do think that'd be something they would likely be interested in.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and we do have some comments from Cal.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. Could you do an educational project at a school? Yep, I like that idea, like a mini tree steward, like a tree stewards for kids. Oh, and Wilston is right, okay.
Yeah, so we planted around Williston before. I absolutely think that we could plant there again. Just again, I'd really like to focus our efforts in specific zones for the sake of keeping things simple. But I think that oh, hold 1 second. Meeting is at 11 a.m. Oh my God. Anyway, Okay, so, so that's one thing. I do think Williston would be a good idea at a certain point. On school grounds is tricky. For instance, we would love to plant trees at DC Virgo. DC Virgo leadership would love us to plant trees at DC Virgo. Their playground is abysmal in terms of any amount of shade or tree canopy coverage. But we have to get permission from the school board, to do those because they maintain the schools, or at least this is what I have been told. So schools are tricky. I would love to do educational programs at schools.
I want to interject here on the discussion of picking fruit off trees. Could we do outreach with the police and talk about not only educating them about the value of fruiting trees for the public, but also about vandalism of trees? I've worked in municipal work for decades, and even the signage thing to me is a problem because signs are vandalized, stolen. I mean, we want to work with the public, for the public, but the public sometimes is our greatest problem. I don't, maybe you don't agree with me, but that's been my experience with working, planting hundreds and thousands of trees in cities up north. Is that it's, you gotta educate children about the, you know, even the day we went to MLK and we took them outside to look at the grounds as well as during the inside presentation. And some of the kids wanted to hang off the branches and break them. It's just lack of knowledge that you're hurting a living thing.
Yeah. I think that's possible. I also would be interested in talking to the police about how trees reduce crime rates. I would need to bone up a bit about why that is, but I know that there is data around that. And I think there are some preconceived notions that like people who hang out under trees are like up to illicit purposes, whereas like they probably are just hanging out there because it's shady.
Yeah.
You know, people hang out under trees because they're shade and then they're out and they're talking to people and they're cooler and therefore they are less angry. Like there's so much around that. So I wonder if we could talk to them about trees as a crime mitigation effort instead of just locking up poor people, you know.
And health benefits, the health
Yeah.
benefits. They're physiological.
Just to go back real quick, so with these schools that really want us to do this, right? So what does getting the school board permission entail? Like, how do we? Oh,
She says she's got a contact.
Okay,
Kathy, I hate not having your audio. So sorry.
Kathy,
Yeah.
please help.
Yeah,
Oh, she's typing.
cool. Yeah, I'd like the education. I like the idea of like, hey, we planted these trees. Now you have a little club with a teacher that like helps you water them and like check on them. I think that is a perfect, just someone that works there. Got it.
Just
Okay.
someone that works there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, DC Virgo said it needed, like their leadership, they're bringing it to them. So I've been circling around this drain, trying to figure out how to get.
What does that mean though? Who-
Like, their principal and they have like a executive director, because DC Virgo is through UNCW.
So, but like you didn't talk to them directly. It sounds like we need to go to the leadership directly.
No, I had a meeting with the principal and the executive director, and they said we would love to put trees on this campus, but you need to get approval. So I sent a letter to the school board trying to elaborate on why this would be a beneficial project.
Yeah, Kathy's saying we planted at Hoggard last year with no issues. I was gonna say, I haven't heard this before, like, I don't.
If
All
the
right, this
Wilmington-
sounds like we need to look into it.
Right. I guess what I'll say is this, like, we have plenty of spots in the city to like plant trees right now, and we have very limited resources and capacity. So if someone can figure out how to put them on school grounds, I can assist with that in terms of like writing grants or directing those funds, but like I need some help there.
So, why don't you reach out to Kathy? Kathy just said, send me
Okay.
an email. That sounds like you guys should have a conversation about that.
Okay.
And actually, would you guys loop me into that too, or? do you want-
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
Tell us what you talk about.
Did you get a response from the school board when you
No.
sent that letter?
No.
Send
No.
nobody responded?
it's been weeks.
But honestly, if it wasn't the right, it sounds like the right pathway is not clear and those things die real fast. No one's like, I don't know who this goes to. I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
so.
I don't think you need to, I planted a lot of trees with a principal on College Street in a public school about in 2019. And the only restriction was the county said that I had to get a permit for the size and the species. And I can't, somebody came out and gave me a permit from the county.
I mean,
The commissioner, I don't know who it was.
if I can get into the schools to plant oaks specifically, it is ideal. Because Pender Leaf Farms, a big part of their thing is they want to do education. But again, there have been these roadblocks to that, but I think that they would donate trees.
Yeah, Kathy's saying the school board.
Scoreable, yeah, okay, great. So I will send an email to Kathy and Bridget. I will CC you and we will get to the bottom of this. But I am just saying like, that is something that I do not have like the capacity to personally like.
No, but it sounds like a lot of just, there's a lot of people interested in educational stuff with that. And so
Yeah.
we should at least know what the mechanism is.
Absolutely.
To go forward.
Would love that.
All right, so any other updates or move on?
Kathy reiterates that the school board will not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to ask Bridget, and we had talked about this, maybe a year or two ago, about the mini forest, concept.
Microforest?
Yeah, well, they've got different names, but it's intensive planting of many species in a little limited area. Is there any, interest in that with the Alliance or any other? Is there any way we could get involved with that?
So Peace Rose Montessori, no, pardon, not that. Friends School of Wilmington did a microforest model based out of like project or inspired by Project Pando. So they have already started that. They are growing microforest trees. They just need a spot to plant them. Right now, I connected them with Peace Rose Montessori, and they're planning on doing a microforest on that campus. But again, it'd be great if we can talk to the schools because they would like to replicate this program in other schools. And the way that we support that is by making these connections, getting them in with Peace Rose Montessori, ideally getting them in with the school board. And then our tree stewards are able to go out there for like a planting day and help with the planting, the education around that. One thing that I plan to integrate into the tree stewards class as well is highlighting that I would like tree stewards to help us with like educational outreach. I think there's plenty of folks who might not want to drive the watering truck. I get it. But who maybe would be like, yeah, anytime a school reaches out and wants a tree planting event, like I know to send Jamie, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to identify educators within our volunteer pool so that we can assist in the way of not growing the trees per se, but finding locations for them and kind of serving as a connector and by providing tree stewards for support as needed.
All right, well, talking about educational outreach, we'll move right on to Native Plant Festival is coming up September 17th through the 20th, so it's fast. Has anybody heard anything about it? I have not had it on my radar. This summer's gone way too fast. So do we want to try and look into doing something on the 17th? So less than a month.
Where is it?
I don't even know.
So we
I
don't
don't
know.
even know. I don't know any information. So maybe I'll put that on my list is look it up. I'm thinking we're a little bit too close to do anything. Like, it feels like, what do you think, Kaylee? What did we do? We didn't do anything last year, right? 'Cause it was-
No, because the format had changed.
And I'm
last year.
imagining it's the same this year.
We always have done. We always
Yeah.
have done it.
At our last meeting, I don't know if it was Kate or Tom who had offered to reach out to whoever's organizing to figure out what the format would be this year and how we could best plug in.
Okay, so maybe we just need to follow up with Tom and see if he got any notes back. Okay.
Well, the 17th is the third Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Bridget, reach out to Valerie Robertson. She coordinates that. I can give you her phone number.
I actually will not be in town, so I can't volunteer myself to do that. But, all right, so we'll follow up with Tom on that. And then Fire and Pines is October 4th. We definitely want to plan something for that. Is the Alliance doing a table
For the Native Plant
For
Festival?
Fire in the Pines.
Yes.
Okay.
Still figuring out what kind of tree to hand out.
So I think maybe we should talk about that in the September meeting, finalize volunteers for that.
Yep.
Okay. And then our next September meeting is September 17th. So yeah, Native Plant Festival will be happening right there. So unless Tom has already come up with something and he wants to reach out by email, I think we're a little bit too late to organize anything new for that. Who would be available to volunteer if he was able to? Get
What's
something together?
17th?
Yeah, 17th and 20th.
What is it exactly? I don't even know what it is.
The Native Plant Festival. Kate, you've been to it.
Yeah, what it is it's educating people about the value of native plants. So there's nurseries present, well, see, it keeps changing, but generally speaking, there's nurseries and like other organizations like Coastal, what's that called? Coastal,
Land Trust,
what?
Coastal Land Trust.
Coastal Land Trust and organizations, so all around we've held it at the Arboretum. So we have tables all over the place and we have, lectures in the building on native trees. And then we, as tree commissioners, have a table with the handouts of the tree list and also handouts of what tree commissioners do. And we just sit there and answer questions to people and are available. We don't usually do any lecturing or anything, although we could, but we generally just hand out our list, tell people what we do.
The real question is, has Tom talked to Valerie to get a table space? Do we have a table space? Do we need volunteers for it? I think.
And it's a 3-day, it's 3 days, 17th, 18th and
17th to the
19th.
20th.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
cool.
It looks like their format is the same as last year, where during the week they have a talk each evening. And then on Saturday, they have like a native plant shopping day. So they have pop-ups around at different nurseries.
Yeah, but it's not one.
No,
It's not
there's not like a central location.
Yeah,
So there's gonna be no on-site stuff, Haley?
just the talks.
Just there's keynote speakers each night.
I think it would be worth it to see about can we get some literature to be put out during the talks?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, just to have for the people who are attending.
And one of the biggest places that they hold the plant nursery event is at Shelton Herb Farm.
Yeah,
Because she shares her property with other people selling plants. And that would be a good place to have a presence if we could.
and that would be Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I could help out if there's something on the 18th.
okay,
I could, but other than that, I'm unavailable.
all right. I'll send Tom an email and find out what he's done. And yeah, I'll let him know that you're available the 18th. But I think having the literature for the talks is something we don't need to be there for. We can just make sure it's there. And then, yeah, Shelton Hertz is a good idea. All right. All right. Anything else that anybody wants to bring up or talk about?
I have something that might be useful.
Yeah.
I'm teaching the Uni 101 class at UNCW this semester, which is like the freshman seminar class. And one of the requirements for most of the classes, so most of the freshman class is going to be required to do volunteer work. So if you know of volunteer opportunities for the kids, let me know.
Okay.
Also, there is, Isabel, I wanted to tell you this. There's a website called Give Pulse. I don't know if you're on it, but that's where the kids will go to figure out what opportunities are available. So if you have, I was thinking maybe you could even put the tree steward class on there. I'm not sure because it has a fee. I don't know if they'll let you do that, but maybe look at it and see if it would be useful. There's a volunteer opportunity at Rise Up Community Farm. Rise Up Community Farm is on here like 10,000 times. So a lot of students end up doing that because it has a lot of dates available.
Cool.
Anyway, just so you're aware. Cool. Lots of kids.
How many hours do they have to do?
For mine, it's 3.
Just 3
Everybody's is different.
And when do they have to do it by end of semester?
They have it. They have to do it in that month. And I can't remember off the top of my head. It's either September or October. Yeah, they have a very short window of time, but some of the classes, they tie it to a research project. So they will do volunteer work at, like, let's say Penderley Farms. Let's say they do volunteer work there. Then they might do a research project on Southern Live Oaks, or they might do a research project on nursery farming or whatever. As they can do it on whatever, but there's lots of kids out there that need stuff to do.
And what was the Pulse?
Give Pulse is the name of the website.
Just good to know in general for all the other nonprofits that might.
Yeah, anybody that needs any help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this college students?
Freshmen. Yeah, I don't know if the transfer students have to do it, but the freshmen, most of the freshmen do.
All right, well, just to kind of sum up what we've got on our list then. So action items we're coming away with. I'm gonna make a call out to Worthington Farms and we'll check on like, what are the professional organizations that we can use to reach out to landscape architects, landscape professionals, right? And then Kate, you were gonna look into
The
long.
logic of what we're doing, what we're recommending to the nurserymen and the contractors.
Yeah.
I think I just wrote 2 quick notes, no exotic invasives and more natives and why.
And just like,
But also just like, it doesn't have to be exclusively natives. I don't want to be a native nut. So we might do other trees that are very beneficial that are not native. Or have particular qualities that allow for planting where it's very dry or drought or where it's very wet. And
which is a really good, just to expand an idea too of what you could put in a problematic area if you're a landscaper, right? So just giving them a wider scope to think of it.
yeah,
And then, yeah, economic impact. I'll kind of look into that too of like, what do you get from greenwashing your brand? How does this help you maintenance wise, right? September, we're gonna do a planning department, tree ordinance presentation, and then October, we'll have Isabel do the code and canopy presentation, so that'll get us really familiar with the ordinance. I think that's a good place for all of us. And then Jean and Rhonda, right, are gonna work on just starting to build the bones of our volunteer hour data set, right? And what did we do? I'm gonna reach out to Tom about the Native Plant Festival, and if we're gonna do anything for that. And I'm reaching out to Wave, and Kathy and Isabel and I are gonna get together about the school board. Love it. Anything else?
I wanted to
Yeah.
see if anybody was interested or thinks it's a good idea to, with our 10 best list, to make a PowerPoint affiliated with the 10 best list that we could take on the road and educate people about why we made this list or what, just the trees and what their value is. What do you think about that idea?
I think it's a good idea to have on deck for events. I think, I don't know anything coming right up that we would use it for, but I think it's a good thing to start thinking about and planning. Are you familiar with PowerPoint yourself, or do you?
Well, I've done a lot. I mean, I was an educator for years and but I just don't see well enough to produce a PowerPoint. I always have to hire somebody now to help me develop it. But take the Native Plant Festival. They have the lectures that are going on. A lot of people attend those. And it would be nice to have a PowerPoint with the 10 best. So we not only have a handout, but we really inspire people to consider those trees.
So for like actually formulating a presentation, educational deck about it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. I don't know an event coming up in our calendar right now that we would do that for, but for next year, it's a good thing to have on hand. I think taking those lists and continuing to make them into more content is a good idea. So.
And it might also be useful for the giving presentations to the 3 professional organizations.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that, that's already ready, that would be
Yeah.
helpful.
So yes, I think it's a good idea. All right, well, on that note, I'm gonna call yes, Sally, go for it.
No, I was just looking at.
Oh. I thought you were gonna say
I
something.
got a question on my face.
Kind of.
Do you need a motion to?
Yeah, do we need a motion to close out? All right, somebody want to motion to
I'll
close the
motion.
meeting? Someone like a second? Got a second? All right, we'll adjourn the meeting, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for putting up with me figuring out this agenda, but
You did great. You did great.
I think we got a lot of good stuff out of this.
Yeah,
meeting.
it's wonderful. You were wonderful.